fucking awesome. Hello and welcome to another episode of the journey of your life. And I wish I could say that today is another sunny day in Portugal, but today it's raining. God damn it. I mean, I've been spoiled with the great weather in Portugal so much that it's kind of a bummer when it's raining for a day. But luckily for us, the sun will be back tomorrow. Woohoo! But today I'm not going to talk about the weather in Portugal because usually it's always sunny. So that's good. But today I want to talk to you about an interesting topic. At least I think it's an interesting topic. And that is comparing yourself to other people. And I actually got the inspiration of making this video of a good friend of mine who now lives in Mallorca, and he moved there from Hong Kong. And apparently there is this neighborhood, or actually the street in Mallorca, that is the most expensive street in all of Europe. Now, I don't know if that is true, but he tells me he has this. Here's a story. My friend, he's a multi-millionaire. He's very, very wealthy. He's renting this big-ass MTV crib mansion, which costs him like 10,000 euros a month, which is that's a lot of money, I think. It has an elevator in it, a 6-car park garage and everything like that. So he lives in this really beautiful, beautiful house. And, he drives this big-ass Mercedes-Benz AMG, he has everything. I mean, he is living the life, and I'm very proud of him, and I've loved him, and I've known him for over 20 years. He's a really good friend of mine. But, a few months ago, he called me and said, Marcel, I'm feeling miserable. I said, well, what's wrong? What's the matter? Why are you feeling miserable? I mean, you live in paradise. You have like this big bunch of money. What's wrong? He said, yeah, I know that's great. But, the people who live here, they are all billionaires. They're multi-billionaires. They all have multi-million-dollar homes all over the world. They have a yacht. They have private jets. They bring the children to school in Ferraris and Bentleys. And, I just drive a fucking Mercedes, And he felt miserable. So he was comparing himself to other people, which is kind of interesting because a couple of weeks ago, I did a video about the people you should hang out with. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out. But actually, this is what I want to talk to you about, comparing yourself to other people. And, it has infected me as well. I mean, I think everybody at one time or another, we all look at other people, especially on social media, and we think, shit, what am I doing wrong? Look at all these people being so successful, being so happy, having a great time, and even if you would see a picture of one of your best friends partying with other friends in Las Vegas and they didn't invite you, you'll be like, what the fuck's up with that? Right? So it's it's not a great feeling. And, I've had it. Maybe you've had it as well. It's a shitty feeling, right? It's the feeling of not being good enough. It's also this feeling of envious, which is kind of a really shitty feeling. So, I was thinking, how can we deal with this? Let's put it like that. How do we deal with comparing ourselves to other people? And strangely enough, or interestingly enough, I found the answer in the Bible. Can I get a hallelujah? And bear with me on this one because it's all going to make sense. So, did you know that, by the way, that Cain and Abel were the first two actual people that were born on planet Earth? Because, Adam and Eve were created by God, and Cain and Abel were the two sons, and they were actually the first two people. Now, you probably heard the story of Cain and Abel, where Abel being the good brother and Cain being the not so good brother, and eventually Cain kills Abel. But why is that? Why were they fighting over their iPhone and what was going on in there, right? So what happened was that Cain and Abel, they were doing their thing and they had to make like burnt sacrifices. So every day they they had to give up something valuable of the present so they can have a better future. And, the smoke signals that would be produced by making their sacrifices, they would rise to heaven, and that would determine the quality of the sacrifices. Now, it turns out that Abel's sacrifices were sufficient and they produced success. But the sacrifices that Cain was making, not so much. And then you could say, well, why is that? That's a very good question, because that's exactly what Cain did. So Cain went to God and he said, oh God, what's up with this reality you created? Because, here's Abel, my brother, he's making all these sacrifices and he's a happy camper and successful and everybody loves him. And here is me and I'm making the same sacrifices and I'm miserable. So what's up with that? And God said, sin has entered your home. You've let evil into the place where you live. Now, we all know that envy is one of the 7 sins. But sin also means to miss the target. To miss the target. It means you're not aiming properly. And so it's a metaphor. It's basically telling you that your suffering is self-induced because the quality of the sacrifices you're making, the things that you are giving up in the present, are not sufficient enough so you could have a better future, a better tomorrow. So it's basically saying you are not being all you can be. And so, Cain finds out about this, and then he gets even crazier because he realizes that it's his own fault, his suffering is self-induced. And that's when he goes like apeshit, and he kills his brother Abel, which is kind of interesting as well, because by killing Abel, he also kills his ideal. He kills the thing that he wants to become. So what can we learn from this story? What can we learn from this story? Well, for me, at least how I look at it, is that when we experience envy, so we are comparing ourselves to other people and not feeling good about it, it is a sin. Not only it's a sin to experience that feeling, but it's also a sin that we are not, aiming properly at the target. We are missing the target. And then you could say, well, what is the target? What am I aiming at? And the answer is you. You are not being all you can be. So then the question would be, well, how can I improve myself? And you can actually sit down and ask yourself that question. And the question would be, who am I? What are my flaws? What am I doing wrong? What is one thing that I'm doing wrong that I can change? And you will actually get an answer. If you ask yourself that question, you will get an answer. And the answer is not going to be something big like you can solve, world hunger or something like that. But the answer is going to be like small things you can do to change yourself, to improve yourself, and that can feel, I don't know, that can feel kind of weird as well, because then you can think like, holy shit, that's all I need to improve myself. This small thing. Am I such a miserable person that I cannot even do this one small thing? But you can also look at it, well, by changing one small thing over a period of time on a daily or weekly basis, all these incremental small steps, that will transform your life in amazing ways. So then the emotion that would come to the surface for me is like humility. It's, you feel humility. It's like, who am I? Who am I to ask myself that question and get this small answer? But the small answer is a big answer. So it would create humility, asking yourself that question. And then wouldn't you agree that humility is a much better emotion to experience than envy? I mean, you can even feel it when you speak out the word envy. It has this low energy frequency. But humility, it immediately increases the energy frequency. Wouldn't you agree? And and I pictured Oliver, walking around in Mallorca, and he sees a successful guy driving in a brand new Ferrari with a beautiful blonde by his side. I'd be like, God damn it, what is he doing that I'm not doing right? But you don't need to scratch that far under the surface to discover that everybody has personal problems, and if they don't have personal problems, that they probably have problems in their family. Because you don't know what that successful guy had to do to climb to the top. How many knives he had to stab in somebody's back, or whatever nasty thing you had to do. And the beautiful blonde, well, she could be a prostitute and she's addicted to crystal meth. We don't know. So, but there's one more thing I need to say about this. Comparing yourself to other people. You need to compare yourself to who you were yesterday and not to who somebody else is today. So I hope that was helpful. If so, give it a 2 thumbs up and like it and share it with people who also compare themselves to other people, which is basically, again, everyone. So I think this video can benefit anyone. Everyone, yes, can benefit everyone. So that's it for now. A little bit of a longer video than normally, but I hope you enjoyed it, and see you in the next one. Much love. Bye bye.